Yes, I'm recording it now. So
And then
let's
you'll have it afterwards. When you find that afterwards, you have to show us
how to
how
get
to get
on the
computer
channel.
and
Okay. Okay.
how to reconnect.
Okay. All right. I thought you guys might have done that already, but no, I'll make sure I show you how to link in on the channel. Hold on, you want to open this in prayer, please?
No, no.
Oh, sorry.
Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you right now, thanking you for the opportunity to share in the word on your Shabbat. We ask that you will give us attentive hearts, ears, and just clarity of thought as we go through your word, that we will get what you want from us, and that we will get what you have for us in the lesson today. We ask that you will just reign supreme in this time. We thank you for the Shabbat, and we ask that you glorify the holy name. Hallelujah. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so I did a brief little overview. Jeff, let me say his name. Jephthah. He was the son of a harlot. His brothers ran him off. Um, his father was Gilead. His brothers didn't want him to have any inheritance of the house. And we all know, or we've talked about the law of inheritance and the children, and regardless of whatever children they deserve, or they're required to have an inheritance. We're not infidels. We don't not take care of what we create. Um, they needed him, so they called him back to fight. Um, Yah gave him victory over his enemies, and in a hasty vow, he said that he would give, the first thing that come out, he was going to burn it or sacrifice it. He offered his daughter, and his daughter ran out to meet him. And the tragedy in this as well, we talked about. I know you guys talked about it. The vow was tragic because she was his only daughter, which meant his bloodline didn't go on. So after he went to sleep with his fathers, then his lineage was gone. So, and we talked about the fact that we know that Yah does not allow human sacrifice because it's against Torah to kill, and we don't kill, and we definitely don't sacrifice. And just the evidence of the fact that she was not sacrificed was she said, "Let me go weep for my virginity. I'm not gonna cry about being a virgin for the rest of my life if you're gonna kill me." So that clarified that. Um, and then you saw a picture. I didn't get a chance to share this with you, but I saw a picture, and then it was brought to my attention as well as I was studying that was the same thing that Hannah did every year when she would go up and weep because of her barrenness. She would weep, and then Yah heard her, and he gave her Samuel. So just take a look at that. So we see that that's evidence again that she was not sacrificed. So don't let nobody tell you nothing. It's the oh, I was like, you look it up. You go in there and you read it for yourself. Um,
I had another thing we didn't bring out last week, and I talked to Maura about it after the lesson. But Miriam, history and legend tells us she was the only child of her father. Miriam, the Messiah's mother. And so you get that picture and that story is not actually rectified until we get to that story. So you have a daughter because her parents passed, who is then raised in the temple. And so it is the continuation or the motif that's set in place for this daughter that comes and the Messiah is born through this particular
a
person.
remnant
So you get that because that story doesn't make sense. It just kind of like it's just there,
there.
but then you don't see it rectified till we get to the Messiah's birth. Where you have this young girl who's in temple, trusted
Trusted.
to someone, and then this
Then
baby is
this
born.
baby is born. That's awesome. And I always say that too. I said it's people say, oh, it's always two sides to a story. I say, yeah, but it's all that other stuff in between that they don't tell you that connects it. The stuff that's hidden or the things that they leave out because this person has this agenda and this person has that one. So it's all the stuff left in the middle that's not talked about. And it's the stuff that's in the middle or that no one is looking for or that's been hidden or been removed that, or because we allow others to give us commentary or write the narrative for a story that we won't investigate ourselves, then we find ourselves lost in the midst of chaos trying to put it all together or just believe in whatever, saying, well, oh, I don't know. I did that with the whole thing with the 3 days, 3 nights. I'm like, Friday to Sunday, it's not 3 days and 3 nights. And it just bothered me for a long time up until I finally got in Torah. It bothered me. And they was like, oh, well, that's what they say, so you just believe it. But yeah, because they say one night on the hill, one Friday on the hill, dog, Calvary, blah, 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 and early Sunday morning, early Sunday. And I'm like, but that ain't 3 days. But they said, the Father said it's a miracle. No, it's not. It has to make sense. So, no, 24, it ain't 24 hours, 3 days, 24 hours. That's what it's not. So it's not. You could say business days. Okay, business days are 8-hour days maybe, but no, this we're talking about somebody who says things and they come to pass, and he's our Father. And so we'll start in 12. It says, then the men of Ephraim were summoned, and they crossed the Zephon and said to Jephthah, why did you cross over to fight against the sons of Ammon without calling us to go with you? We will burn your house down on you. Hey. And Jephthah said to them, I and my people were at great strife with the sons of Ammon when I called and you did not deliver me from their hand. And when I saw that you would not deliver me, I took my life into my hands and crossed over against the sons of Ammon, and Yahuwah gave them into my hands. Why then have you come up to me this day to fight against me? So, we see something here. We know that Jephthah, we saw in the chapter before, he can talk out of turn sometimes. So this time we see his brethren or his cousins or whatever meeting him and speaking out of turn, because basically that was a threat. If we're going to burn your house down, if I'm burning your house down, I'm telling you I'm going to kill you, because you might be in the house. Right? You might be in the house. So they were the descendants of Joseph and the house of Joseph. And Jephthah told him, he said, you guys, when I called you, you didn't come to answer me, so why are you coming to fight? So we see something here, and we'll see what it starts in the next few verses. We see jealousy, and we're going to see what jealousy is leading up to, because at the root of it all, it was pride and jealousy, because he had already been given the authority. Yah had already given him the authority and went before him and told him that's what he was going to do. So we also know that they were basically conflict. So they had already conquered that border, and now they're going to rise up against their own brethren. And we saw this before. Who was it before? I think it was the same ones Ephraim were mad about another battle with Gideon. When you didn't call us to come fight. But again, y'all didn't tell me that you were going to help deliver me. He said he was going to deliver me. So if we look at Proverbs, let somebody get Proverbs 27:3-4. And we just see what these, it's just a look at the scripture where these words, where the hasty words and the jealousy and envy, what they can stir up. Because they'd already had great victory, and then it was distorted. The scripture? It is Proverbs 27:3-4. 3-4. 27:3-4. Somebody read it out loud. Okay. Yes, please.
A stone is heavy and sand a burden, but provocation by a fool is heavier than both. Wrath is cruel, and anger is overwhelming. But who can stand before jealousy?
Man. And so then that's where that other scripture goes, where a kind word turns away wrath. So instead of meeting them with the same amount of aggression that they came at him with, he just told them what he told them. I called, you didn't come, and I took it into my own hands. Basically, I trusted Yah and went after him and did what he told me to do. But then we see this, and it just brought something to my mind too, because usually why is it after after a great victory is the enemy comes and it distorts the things that you just the victory that you just overcame. It's like take your mind completely off the goodness of the Father. They're not seeing that. Pride rose up in their heart. And a lot of times we know that we know the enemy is roaring to and fro like a roaring lion. He is seeking that which he can devour, and it's always he wants to start. It's easier to tear down a united front. I mean, it's hard to tear down a united front, but the front can look united, and I'm gonna test it. So that's basically what happened. They were tested because all of us, it's the 12 tribes. We're descendants of Joseph, and so they're the smallest of the tribe, but they were always the ones looking for position. They were always the ones complaining about why you didn't call us to cross over, why you didn't call us when you did this, why you didn't, because you're not called. You have not been ordained to do this. Sit down. You'll get a term. We don't know. You don't. People don't get it. It's like they don't. So the enemy distorted, and he's always waiting to roar his little ugly head, and we'll see what happens. So then in 4, then Jephthah gathered all the men of Gilead and fought Ephraim. He didn't even talk. He just fought him. And the men of Gilead defeated Ephraim because they said, "You are fugitives of Ephraim, O Gileadites, in the midst of Ephraim and in the midst of Manasseh." And the Gileadites captured the fords of the Jordan opposite of Ephraim. And it happened when any of the fugitives of Ephraim said, "Let me cross over," the men of Gilead would say to him, "Are you a Ephraimite?" If he said no, then he would say to him, "Say Shibboleth." But he said Sibboleth, for they could not pronounce it correctly. Then they seized him and slew him at the fords of the Jordan. Thus there fell at the time 42,000 of Ephraim. And Jephthah judged 6 years. Then Jephthah the Gileadite and died and was buried in one of the cities of Gilead. And you see this, you'll kind of go back and forth with the names. So we know Gilead was his father. So Jephthah was a Gileadite. He was a son of Gilead, and basically that's what it says. So like Ephraim and Manasseh were the grandsons or the descendants of Joseph. And so if they would ask those, "Are you an Ephraimite?" And knowing that they couldn't pronounce it the right way, their speech betrayed them. So basically it says, the linguistics test was given in order to tell whether or not the man was an Ephraimite. The word Shibboleth meant a stream in flood time. However, an Ephraimite, because of the nature of his dialect, said Sibboleth, like how we do words, substituting the S for the sound of the SH sound. Even though he denied being an Ephraimite, his tongue would betray him, bringing him sudden death. So you see here an accusation, though, because Gilead fought Ephraim because Ephraim said, "You are fugitives of Ephraim," basically saying you're not friends of us. So you throw out accusations, and we have now a civil war. We're fighting against each other because no, we're not fugitives. We're blood. We're family. But those accusations and how powerful words are, people don't believe that words are powerful, and people don't believe that titles and things can destroy you from the inside out. Families, it can destroy friendships, just vain accusations, things that have not been verified. You just want to throw it out there, and it's ignorance. And so ignorance basically is the beginning of what led to us jealousy and ignorance and what do you call it, reckless talking, a reckless tongue led to conflict. And I saw another picture. It's like they died in the conflict, and you see border control here. I see border control. Can you say Shibboleth or the Sibboleth? Shibboleth, because of my tongue doesn't allow me to say it that way because of my dialect. Now I'm controlling the border. I'm controlling who comes across. Now I can identify you as not mine. When we're all family now, but now we're creating border control. Since you said, okay, we not cool, we enemies, we're gonna do this, and we're seeing it now. It's so visual. So it is so important to know history. It is so important to know history from the biblical the standpoint, Yah has left us clues. You could just go as far back as to what's going on right now and seeing the nations uniting, and where it talks about, and the nations conspired with one mind to make sure that Israel was no more. You can see that now, where they are conspiring right now to make sure that a specific people don't prosper. We see Trump now, you want to go get Korea, you want to go be friends with them, and then you want to throw Canada in this, and Canada and their borders, and they don't let us send our produce. Nobody does, because over here you guys are practicing population control, killing us with food. No, they don't want Monsanto coming across there. They don't want certain things coming over. No, they don't want to trade with you guys. We don't like how you guys get down. But in this instance, they're doing it amongst families. So we could just see the big scene, the big picture of it, how it flows up into every area. If you don't know history, people can tell you that somebody's your enemy and you will believe them. And it couldn't be further from the truth, because they're family. But hey, words are something else. So then we see that he died, and his successor now, and verse 8 is Ibzan of Bethlehem. What does Bethlehem mean? House of bread, yes. And he judged Israel after him. He had 30 sons and 30 daughters, whom he gave in marriage outside the family. And he brought in 30 daughters from outside for his sons. And he judged Israel 7 years. Outside of the family, what does that mean? Into a circle. You gave your daughters in marriage to strange nations, and you gave your sons in marriage to strange nations. So what does that do? Now, because we're seeing the beginning of a mess here. Yes, pollutes it. And we're not talking about, you're not listening.
She was the one from the message.
Yes, she is. Ooh. So we have to really pray about our own agendas, exercising our own agendas, like was talked about today in our message, where the authority within is in control. I wrote something down about that too. I said, who is the narrator? Who's giving the narrative of your story? Are you under the authority of self, or are you under the authority of Yah? And in the end, it will eventually tell on you, because of the outcome that you have from whatever it is that has the reins of your heart. It will show the evidence. Out of the abundance of your heart, the mouth speaks, and things come, birth. They come to life. They come to life when seeds are planted, and regardless of whether we want them to or not. And also, 30 sons, 30 daughters, and their family. He brought the daughters from outside, and he judged for 7 years. Then he died and was buried in Bethlehem. And then Elon, the Zebulunite, judged Israel after him, and he judged Israel 10 years. Then Elon, the Zebulunite, died and was buried in Ajalon in the land of Zebulun. And we know Zebulunite probably means he's the son of Zebedee, of Zebulun, yes. So, and then now Abdon, the son of Hillel, the Pirathonite, judged Israel after him. And he had 40 sons and 30 grandsons who rode on 70 donkeys, and he judged Israel 8 years. We talked about that too before, that the donkeys meant that you were at peace, and it also meant that you were royalty. So we talked about this morning. When a king was still conquering, he rode in on horses, because that meant he was still subduing nations and going to coming in and ready for war or subduing. But when they rode on donkeys, it meant everything is at ease, I'm at rest, and pretty much like somebody driving a Harley, not a Harley, but a truck, a Cadillac, and a Rolls Royce, kind of basically like we laid back, we get to cruise on through now because we don't have enemies. The nation is at peace. It's just laid back. And so that is like an awesome picture. And so there are so many analogies and um, just things that clues that show you what the word means, and it's not. You don't have to really guess, but you do have to pay attention to the clues and look at the culture, context, time, and put things in their proper perspective so that you know what's going on at this time. It's like now, like the royal family, yeah, they ride in what are those things called? Carriages, Maybachs. Um, so if I can roll with the windows down means I'm not worried about anybody shooting at me. But I gotta have these windows up and tinted so they don't know who's in here, and bulletproof windshields. It means that people are looking. That yeah, I'm on guard. So basically, this is the same thing. A donkey not gonna run fast. He might sit down. He can stop. Yeah. So yeah, stop at any moment. So it comes alive as everything just starts to jump out the page at you. And so then Abdon, the son of Hillel, the Pirathonite, died and was buried at Pirathon in the land of Ephraim in the hill cities of the Amalekites. And yes, they were. So that says something, huh? Mary, you were. Why? Yeah, they were in their land. You were buried amongst the Amalekites. Those were some of the ones that they weren't ever able to get out of the land. Remember? Because they didn't do what they were told to do in the first place, and so they became the thorn in their side. And I'm telling you, delayed obedience is disobedience, because sometimes when He does open the door, if you don't purge, run, you'll get stuck there for a little more time to be afflicted a little while longer. And then sometimes He just has to shake things up and dump you out. You know what I mean? And so, again, it's important to know the history. The Ephraimites were mad, or the Ephraim was mad about the territory, but Yah gave them the territory. And then before that, when they were first coming in, when they had to go get Jephthah to fight, you remember, they said, well, you took our land. He said, no, I didn't take your land. Yah gave us the land because of the offenses that you had committed in the land. So if they had a known history, but that's how it goes, family will tell a story. And I'm mad at sister so-and-so, you mad at your sister, and you got the kids mad at them because you talk about what happened in front of the kids, and then they carry on, they pick up an offense, and now they go on to war against their own family, and they don't even know the truth. And what it was an misunderstanding and pride that caused you to hold on to something that tore the family up for years. And so this is what's here. And we live in a time where we have a lot of freedom, and people like to modify history, and they like to do it to suit their own ideologies and practices. But Yah's word is the final authority and the basis for all understanding of His word. It's even the basis for all history. You don't have to argue history if you go back in the word. All you got to do is you look at the nations that rule now and compare and contrast to the nations that ruled then, what they were doing, what were they trying to war is always over maybe 5 things: law, land, agriculture, natural resources, setting up a kingdom, yes, greed. And that's what it is. And then you look at it now, and it's the same way. And then we just looked at the earth is Yah's and the fullness thereof. How are you fighting over something that's not even yours? I used to tell my kids, they're like slamming doors, locking doors. You don't have a room. Matter of fact, I get a hammer and a screwdriver, and boom, I take the door off. Now, I'm going to walk by, I'm going to look in your room. You don't have a room, you don't have a door, you want to keep talking, you won't have clothes. Either I'll issue them out to you. You don't clean up your room. You don't have anything. When you don't want to be cohesive and act like this is all of ours and work together, then okay, I'm going to minimize you. And that's what we do. We do it to ourselves. And 2, we found out here that words matter. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. With their accusations, they caused a civil war, Proverbs 18:21. They caused a civil war because he was hasty with words, and it cost him his inheritance, grandchildren. This time I'm not going to say nothing, but I'm going to show you something. So he went on, we're just going to fight. We're going to get this over with. Also Matthew 12:36, where it says that we will have to give an account for every deed and every word spoken, whether that come out your mouth, idle words, vows you made that you didn't keep. You have to. You have to. And I was like, ooh, I might have to shut up. or
Take mine out.
take even, right? Like, And then Jephthah, we know again, he learned a lesson with words, about his words. When words abound. Somebody read Proverbs 10:19. You got it?
Proverbs.
10:19. Proverbs 10:19. Okay. Uh-oh.
10. You got it.
10:19. Multitude. hmm So in the multitude of words, strife can rise up. When there's many words, sin is bound to come behind it. And we've seen that pettiness, instead of joy, there was pettiness and quarreling. Instead of looking at the big picture, the victory that is taking place, they wanted to focus on the smallest thing. You didn't call me. I didn't call you. And got an attitude about it. Yep. Yep. And I called you. You didn't answer. But y'all answered. And that's the other thing. Their heart had got prideful, and they were trying to make heroes of themselves. They kept trying to claim a name, big, want to be magnified. But we have to quit making heroes out of men and make the one who is the true deliverer the hero. Acknowledge him. So that was a short chapter, but it had a lot of meat. We see the Civil War. We saw the breakfast talk. We see the orders. I have another Psalm 15:4. Did I put that in there? Okay. And it just talked about kind of like Jephthah's character. He did what he promised when he promised it, even when it hurt. He did what he promised. Psalms 15:4. So I put that in one of my notes. He did Psalms. He did what he promised, even when it hurts. And we saw also that after the division of the nation, we saw the demise of the family and how others under him, like he gave his daughters outside. So you gave your daughters to someone who basically don't have the same, the beliefs, the same morals, the same set of values to outside men, instead of in your own community and those that have been raised like you. But the division took place, so everybody started doing what they wanted to do, and that is the problem now. Every man to his own way, whatever feels good, whatever I see fit, and go ahead.
And it gives rise to an even greater conflict, because the conflict, no matter what side you're on humanity's side, the conflict even that exists amongst Israel as a nation at this moment, if it was to be looked at righteously, goes back to when you marry into other cultures and into other people, then there's no way, I don't care if my dad died, if I know my family has a connection to this place, then I'm going to have some connection to it. So when you marry into other people, the inheritance stays with Israel. But if you're from another nation, say you're a Canaanite, then you marry into these people, then the Canaanites then are going to have an affinity toward this same place. So to keep other people from wanting what I've given you, don't give them a right to it.
Wow, that is so true.
Because then now what do? You're like, oh, well, no, it's ours now. It's like, wait, but if you trace it far enough back and you start getting to the Samaritans, did they have a right to the land? Did she lie when she said my grandfather
No.
Jacob built this well?
No.
No. So then what do? Well, you're that.
Half
Like,
nothing.
now we have to go back and say, do we split
Split
it? Do we, what do you do? If you wouldn't have from the beginning. Exactly, it's not all yours anymore. You've portioned out, you've pieced out the inheritance where it wasn't supposed to be so. You weren't even supposed to cross marry, technically, between even tribes. When Manasseh's daughters came, and which is Ephraim and Manasseh,
Ephraim.
when their daughters came and asked for the land, he said, okay, but you have to marry within your
the
tribe
tribe.
so that the land stays
Stays
within
within
your
your
lot.
lot.
They couldn't go all marry Judah, then Judah would get a portion of
Of
Manasseh's
Manasseh's lot.
property. No, you have to marry within the son.
And then
of
you
your father.
cancel yourself out, basically. That's what you do. You'll end up canceling yourself out. And it's very prevalent up to now. It is when you bring people, unbelievers in, or those that,
Right, Abraham.
Abraham and Lot.
You ended up, he took the better land, but then you ended up in conflict. Why?
All the
Well,
time.
one, he didn't tell you to take
Take
him.
them. Mm-mm.
And second of all, you were the leader that I told.
Chose
So
us.
you should have chose. If you knew the character of Lot, you should have said,
You don't give him
take
enough
the
the
plains
plains.
away from all the people.
All of the people, because
Right,
he's
so-
gonna always, like I said, Lot was hokey pokey and always with it, with that side, like, until he did, and we see what that created the Amorites and the Moabites, the enemies of Yah, because of that. Man, DNA is something else.
And, so
And
you're
it's
warring
spiritual,
against
it is. Your own
your
flesh.
your sins.
Sins.
You fight with your own
Own
sins in the
sins.
flesh.
Right.
Yes.
Yes. Jezebel is a
Jezebel.
big picture that her father was a priest of Baal,
Baal.
marrying a king of Israel. It's
It is.
and
And
then
it,
you make allegiances and alliances with these other nations, just like Rehoboam, right? Who had a wife who was Egyptian, right? It was. I'm trying to get my.
we can even go further back than that.
Solomon.
Abraham
Rehoboam,
had,
Rehoboam had
Hagar.
yeah.
and then we have Ishmael. She was an Egyptian. And then we have Ishmael, so then we have the Muslim, and then we have the Israelites, and then you have this conflict, because I'm Abraham's seed. Well, I'm Abraham's seed too. Well, what do? And nobody touched the land, though. Nobody declared Jerusalem the capital of Israel until Hancho moved in to the White House, and now he's Elohim himself, and according to his, you know what I mean? I'm just gonna say it. Nobody bad enough to say it, I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna do it. It's so, we see it, and it's so cyclical. There's nothing new under the sun, you know that. What's old is new again. There's always something in the hearts of man that will rise up and, anyway,
Oh,
true.
Yes.
But it is still for a intended purpose. Because I'm gonna do this, because I'll say, no, I'm gonna bless Jerusalem, I'm gonna bless Israel, because people see it in a matter of fact, or in the physical, but they're not looking at the spiritual part of it, because their hearts are deceptive. It's like, I'm gonna physically do this, but in my heart, it's like, I'm crossing my fingers. I promise I'm not gonna do this. I'm gonna do such. No, but my fingers are crossed. Oh, I was lying. But Yah knows your heart, and so that's the thing that's taking place right now.
It's control, and that's why when you go look at these scriptures, this is why there will be a great battle. Because everybody has to be called to the center. Oh, you think you have a claim in it? Then fight for it.
Fight for it.
That's always been the fight for it then. And the person that Yah fights for, and it
That
hasn't,
tells it up. Tells it all.
because, I mean, sadly, if America and the allies of Israel were not on their side, it would be a really bad day. But America has a history of brutality throughout the world. Look at Hiroshima. And when it comes to it, and I think that's what people are afraid of, because I don't know, I wouldn't say the people here care about our people, but it doesn't seem like the powers that be often
They
care
don't.
about the people. Because it's nothing. When you talk
Casualties.
about Iran, everybody's like, oh, Iran's afraid of Israel. No, Iran doesn't want to see its citizens killed.
Killed. That's all it
And
is.
we sacrifice our citizens for
Daily.
every cause and for
For
every
nothing.
thing. And I'm like,
Let's go fight.
Yeah, if
Let's
we're
go
gonna
fight.
go over there and fight, it's good, if not, not.
Yeah,
Right.
yes,
We haven't
yes.
had the rent.
But when
They're
they
not
say
like-
we're
they're
gonna
like-
send our
right.
but they're not sending over their own sons and daughters. They're not. They don't care. And then we see it. We see how it's sad because a country that is as powerful as ours is, you fight, but you come home and you have to live in subsidized government housing or on the streets. You can't afford health care. You can't buy groceries. You have bad credit. I mean, you
won't
would think
restore their
the
mental
mental
health.
health.
Like-
Well, because that's the biggest part of most of us here. We have all experienced some type of trauma, and instead of dealing with the trauma, they want you to suppress the trauma, and then it just creates it's a decline in society.
but there's
It's
always
it's
trauma
trauma.
when you're doing something for the wrong,
Wrong reasons.
Because
Absolutely.
the reality is, when the Israelites went to war against people, most of the time, the casualties on the side that I was fighting for when they went for it, there wasn't a lot of casualties. Nobody when David would go out and fight, the men would come back.
They sure did.
Here, you go out to fight, and then your men don't
No,
come
we
back
don't come back.
because you don't have a higher backing. You're not consulting and going for righteous reasons. You consult, you go for whatever reason.
Whatever.
If the oil's
I
too
want
high,
it.
we fight.
Mhm.
If it's too low, we fight.
Fight, yeah.
If,
I want it.
right, and you fight for control instead of for contentment.
Contentment.
Israel wasn't trying to subdue the whole
No,
world.
they weren't.
They were just going
My
for
lot, my
what they said
portion.
was theirs.
Yes, that's it.
But
That's yours, your inheritance.
When you try to subdue the whole world, then
Israel tries to save the whole world.
Mhm.
I have a friend whose grandson went to Haiti, and then the earthquake happened and all this tragedy. And he said the first people that were there were the leaders that built a hospital and took care of people and Samaritan Church.
right.
First ones in. Yeah, what a day. Like now, even so now, come come on back, come and, set the balances straight. And that's what we need. Anybody else, anything else?
Jealousy really gets you in trouble, doesn't it?
Oh, jealousy is,
It's a lie.
it's a lie from the pits of hell, and it also is consuming. It's a burning. There's nothing that can quench it. It's insatiable, because you get this, then you get this. I see that. I want that. I like that. I want her shoes. I want that. And then it's never enough.
It's all about you.
It's about me and I. Yeah. Well, next week, ladies, we'll be in 13. And usually when I'm not here,